Well, it's been almost a full day, and I'm still on cloud 9 or maybe cloud 4.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by Nissan, and we appreciate it by Nissan. Thank you for making us your first listen every single day. Jimmy, it's been almost a day. Not really, 18 hours, whatever. And I'm still just like completely ecstatic. I can't even wrap my head around what this team has done. And I'm just so excited for what's to come, not just for this game coming up, but for everything that's coming for this program.
It's happened so fast. I mean, I'm just kind of, Nate Oates said, it won't really hit him until after it's all over. I think I'm sort of in the same boat. That really, I know what happened, but it hasn't really hit me yet either. I think it's because it's not like we spent a lot of time this year, Luke, or especially down the stretch. It's not like we spent a lot of time going, is this the Alabama team that makes the Final Four? It didn't come up. It didn't come up. I mean, we didn't spend any real time talking about it. And I'm not saying that we were mistaken for not. Maybe we should have, because anything can happen in the postseason. Last year, we were the number 1 overall seed, like Yukon is this year. We were Yukon last year, and we lost in the round of 16. And maybe we should have not known this was coming. But the point is, Luke, there's a lot of randomness. I guess it's just the best way to describe it. There's randomness in postseason outcomes. And we've been the victim in basketball. We've been the victim a lot of that randomness. And I guess we were just far overdue to be the windshield and not the bug, which is something from a couple shows ago.
By the way, your hair looks marvelous again today. There were some people complaining that you didn't. It looks great.
I should have.
It's reminiscent to me of like Tennessee 1997 versus Tennessee 1998. Tennessee 97 was probably the better team, definitely had the better quarterback, but it's the T. Martin team that wins the national championship. The confluence of events that have to happen for you to get to the Final Four. And I've been reading some of the, because I have taken some pleasure in the schadenfreude of Auburn for sure. And I've been reading some of their message boards and tweets, and Alabama had this easy path to the nope. It just doesn't work that way. Not in the NCAA tournament. It's
not like we played Yale. It's not like we played Yale 4 times.
Yeah. It's 4 grinded out games. And again, was Purdue's path harder a few years ago when they lost as number 1 seed? Last year it was Fairleigh Dickinson. They lose the number 1 seed. Was their path harder then? No. It's just this tournament is so finicky. And that's what makes it incredibly difficult. And on top of that, what people fail to even bring up is that we've been playing essentially without Latrell Wrightsell. The toughest games we've played without one of our better players. And I thought you had a magnificent comeback to somebody who pointed out that Wrightsell, there was a tweet that Wrightsell will be back for this weekend. And you said, and it was a tweet by a national guy, and he said, Latrell Wrightsell should be back for the Alabama Yukon game. And, Wrightsell was averaging 9 points a game. And he said it sort of flippantly. Yeah. And you were like, 9 points a game doesn't do justice to what Wrightsell brings to the table. And that's so true.
Yeah. He means a lot more than and again, I don't think, by no means did I think that John Rothstein was taking a shot. I just meant that when you say that Alabama will have Wrightsell back and he averages 9 points a game, the casual fan that doesn't know Alabama or Wrightsell will think, well, that's not much of a story. That's all. It is a huge story for Alabama that Wrightsell will be out. He means a lot to the team. I think there's a portion of the season, Luke, where I felt he was our second best player behind Sears. I thought it was Sears and then Wrightsell in terms of who are the best players on the team. I do think he ranks very high in some national efficiency ranks that he's one of the most efficient offensive players in the country per the analytics. He's certainly a fantastic three-point shooter. He hasn't missed a free throw all season. If he has, I forgot. But if he's missed a free throw, he's missed like one. And I don't think he's missed at all. And is our second best perimeter defender, in my opinion, behind Rylan Griffin. So just him coming back is huge. Now, is it going to be enough for Yukon? Again, I'm putting off thoughts of Yukon till tomorrow. I decided to take the whole weekend to revel in the win over Clemson and North Carolina. I'm not done celebrating those wins. I will worry about Yukon starting on Monday, and we'll talk more about Yukon on the show. But having Reitzel back is just massive. And again, I just couldn't be happier for the program. And it is funny. It just occurred to me, like, Luke, when me and you started previewing Alabama in the tournament and talking about the seed and talking about opponents, we didn't mention the Final Four. We're about to even play North Carolina. We didn't mention the Final Four. We're like, well, we're going to beat North Carolina, maybe not. But we weren't even talking about the Final Four. Then we didn't start talking about the Final Four to some extent until it became obvious we were playing Clemson, and we thought it was a winnable game. But to be honest, Alabama had, kind of been Charlie Brown with the football for so long. I didn't even want to mention Final Four too much until there were zeros on the clock against Clemson, because we had been, we were going to have a pretty good team one year, and the point guard transferred for pretty much a five-star point guard transferred for pretty much no reason at all, and the other 5 stars' mom kidnapped one of their cousins, and then that season went to pot. And ever since then, I've just been kind of since then, I've been just kind of hesitant to get too optimistic about how things would work out.
By the way, Latrell Reitzel is 27 of 27 from the stripe this year. So, this Alabama team was very, very close to setting the all-time mark for an Alabama team in terms of free throw percentage. And it probably would have done it if Reitzel had been there to continue his run. But because Reitzel wasn't there, it probably, just was going to be out of reach, especially when you consider, Pringle was getting more minutes. Look, here's what I want to do, Jimmy. Before I got some things, I've watched a lot of the game again, and I've made some observations here, and I want you to talk about them too when we come back. But right now, we're going to tell everybody about Game Time. Oh, man, so happy to have Game Time back. Just love this. Look, I'm telling you, I've used Game Time all the time. It's gametime.co. Gametime.co is where you want to go for the URL, but they also have an app. So go check out Game Time in the App Store. I've used it all the time. I've used it for my son to go to the World Series. I've used it to go to Alabama football games and Alabama basketball games and Phoenix Suns games. And I know some people that really need to use it for going to the Final Four. And I've had some frustrating times with tickets in the past, but not with Game Time. I've used them to go to the Miami Dolphins game. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. That's amazing. Look, go check out their flash deals. Save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. Maybe a Final Four. That'd be sweet. Or last-minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Nate Barghese is coming here soon to Birmingham. I might use him to go see that. Get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. Look, there's the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCollege. Locked On College is your code for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code Locked On College, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download that Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, so I mentioned I rewatched the game.
Yeah.
And I had a thought, this really did inspire me in a way, because this morning I woke up and, it really still did feel like a dream. It did. I'm just so pumped. I don't even know what to do. And part of me is a little sad. I got to say, for those who know, I bought tickets like in October for my son for Christmas because my son goes to Arizona State. So I was going to go to the Final Four with him, not thinking for 1 second. I was like, yeah, it'd be cool if Alabama went, but I wasn't certainly counting on it. But now I'm kind of bummed out that it happened this way, in a sense that I kind of wish I could have been able to plan it with like a big group of Alabama fans and go out there. But hopefully I'll see all y'all out there. So I'm hoping that's cool. I'm not.
You'll bump into a few.
But so this inspired me, and I like got up and I went to the gym this morning and shot basketball. I mean, I was like, I just feel like shooting basketball right now.
When's the last time you did that?
Oh, I shoot basketball all the time. Actually, it's not that big a deal. But thanks for ruining it.
I would assume, by the way you said it, I
know.
I assume you hadn't done it in at least a month.
I didn't expect you to make a comment, so you ruined it.
You're not prepared to retort.
I'm not prepared for that. I did not expect any. I had nothing prepared.
I was interested.
I
was interested.
But okay, so I had this thought while I was out there, and I was like, because somebody tweeted out, this was Mark Sears' the biggest 3-pointer in Alabama history, and then somebody said, no, this one was, and I was like, okay, first of all, I agree. I think Mark Sears hit the biggest 3-pointers in Alabama history last night. And I think what it surpassed, if you ask me, was Elliott Washington's 3-pointer in 1992 against Arkansas. I couldn't really think of another 3-pointer that was that big. I mean, Relaford hit one against Georgia from like half court or 3/4 court, which was awesome. But that wasn't a big deal because it didn't really.
What about Mel Riley's 3-pointer that won got an SEC tournament game to overtime and saved a bunch of lives from a tornado?
Okay, fair. That one is more important in the terms of saving lives.
But it's not basketball. Saving lives. Obviously that's the most important one because lives were saved. But basketball, we're just talking basketball here.
Oh, that is so true. That is a great point. And look, yeah, he gets honorable mention. He gets the asterisks.
There's an asterisk.
But in terms of what it meant to the basketball program itself, I think Mark Sears hit the biggest 2 3-pointers.
Maybe some people don't even know what we're talking about. A lot of you do, and a lot of you don't. But in an SEC tournament game many years ago, I think Mark Godfrey was Alabama's coach. Alabama was in Atlanta playing the SEC tournament. They were behind the whole game. I can't remember who they were playing. Maybe South Carolina, but I don't remember. And Alabama was behind.
Mississippi State, wasn't it?
Mississippi State. Very good call. Very good memory. And with almost no time on the clock, they get the ball to one of their best 3-point shooters, Mel Riley, who was a UAB transfer. And Riley nailed a 3-pointer at the buzzer to take the game into overtime. And while the game was starting, just early on in overtime, an actual tornado hit the Georgia Dome where the games were being played. And and of course, people that stayed in the dome and watched the game in overtime, they were all safe because the dome is huge. Now, it was damaged, by the way. The tornado was so big and powerful, it damaged the roof of the dome pretty significantly. But had Mel Riley not made that shot and Alabama lost, the game would have been over and the crowd would have spilled outside. And they would have walked outside literally as a tornado was striking the dome itself. And someone or a lot of people could have been seriously hurt or injured. For those that just didn't know that. Crazy story. What do you know? Alabama basketball and a crazy story that has a lot to do with disaster.
Okay, so here are your options. I mean, because I've really come up with 3. I thought it was only going to be 2. Sears is shot from the hog's nose. I mean, like practically right beyond the logo. Was that the biggest one? I love that one so much because when you hear it go through the net, I mean, I don't know if it was CBS's microphone or what, but it was like, I mean,
wow.
It was like pop. And man, that one, oh God, I'm getting chills thinking about it. Or was it the 5-minute mark, plus or minus, which was Sears's 6th 3-pointer in a row? Or was it the 1:16 left to go in the game 3-pointer where he had the step back and basically iced the game? I want to tell you, I think it might be the hog's nose one because that one, first of all, it put us up 9. And you had the feeling, okay, we're in control. And you really did have the feeling Mark Sears ain't going to let us lose this game.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go with the deep one when he, then I think he stuck his tongue out and kind of, it looked like Sometimes you're just on fire, right? I mean, he couldn't miss early in the game. He's having a hard time, but then he made a couple, and then he couldn't miss. And so apropos of him making those shots, because this is his season. As much as it's been about, the Alabama team that went the furthest of any of all time, it's Mark Sears' team. It's Mark Sears' year. I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, those that listen to the show know I was going to do this. I was going to write a story on BOL proving that using numbers that Mark Sears' season was the best season of any Alabama basketball player ever. Now I don't even really have to write it. I mean, it's almost a waste of time, because no one else has an argument.
It went from an article to a post.
It went from an article to explaining in a post why I'm not writing the article anymore, because we all agree. I was going to write an article to convince everybody, hey, I'm making a case here. Everybody's on board, Jimmy. You don't have to just state it, and we'll all nod our heads. Yeah, this is the greatest season by any one Alabama player of all time. I'm not saying Sears is the greatest Alabama player ever. I'm not saying that yet. Although if he comes back and does it again, yeah, he might be. Right. But I'm just saying it's the best season by an Alabama individual player of all time. And I'm adamant, 100% that's true.
A couple other things that really stood out to me, and I noticed them in game, but when we went live after the game, and I don't think I brought it up because I was still so just shaken by this whole thing.
So glad we had to go live about 2 hours later.
Yeah.
Oof.
That's when you went dead. But the PJ Hall dunk, which was probably the most explosive Clemson moment of the night. I mean, when he has a pump fake, he drives and he slams it home, and he flexes. It was nice.
I was worried.
The next play, Pringle hits Grant Nelson for a dunk that was equally explosive, and it was one of those moments where you think, okay, we're going to match everything. And then there was that series. They hit a three, we hit a three. They hit a three, we hit a three. And then I think we stopped him and came down and hit another one.
And then it hit another three. Yeah. And that did it. That won the Final Four.
Yeah.
It was an answer for – that's how – even in football, the answer, it's so big. Early in a game, sometimes who's going to win a 60-minute football game early on when one team has success. And what does the other team do? They answer. That's big. That's a statement that you don't think for 1 second this is over, folks. And Alabama answered. I mean, even in the first half, Clemson built up a pretty good lead at one point, but by the time the half had ended, Alabama had answered.
Then a couple of Pringle moments. This was one of the big ones to me. Mark Sears 6 in a row. He finally misses one. Pringle gets the rebound and the and one. And then the Rylan Griffin pass to Nick Pringle. And I remember I'm still watching this. This is one of those things where you think like the 4th and 31, the Gravedigger play. I'm like, oh, God, he's going to throw it out of the end zone every time I watch it. I know the outcome, and I'm still nervous. And Pringle sort of breaks open, and Rylan Griffin sees him kind of at the last second. And I remember watching it vividly live thinking, he's too open, something's wrong. Like that went through my head so quickly. And then he gets the and one. And the other thing that I thought was, this is interesting to me. Somebody brought up the Loyola Marymount, was that Bama team 87 or 90? I was like, yeah, it was 90. They're like, yeah, I remember those one-handed free throws by Bo Kimball in honor of Hank Gathers. And I was like, maybe Nick Pringle was channeling his inner Bo Kimball with the one-handed free throws.
Other than the fact Pringle had yet to be born.
Well, no, I'm just saying he channeled it.
Pringle was like -10.
He channeled it. I didn't say he knew it was there. I just said he might have been there. I don't know.
The most amazing thing of Nick Pringle delivering us to the Final Four is back when you and I had a show before Locked On that no one listened to. We didn't have any sponsors, so we'd pretend that Pringle was sponsoring the show.
That is so true. Boy, now, you guys don't know.
Now a player, we didn't know Nick Pringle. This is years ago. Nick Pringle was like in middle school. We were, and now Nick Pringle has delivered Alabama to the Final Four. It's very
that is foreshadowing.
Very Luke and Jimmy apropos.
That's also very Simpsons. Have you seen like There was a Simpsons some time ago that, and I've sort of quit watching the Simpsons. I do think it's one of the greatest shows in TV history, one of the more influential too. But the early seasons, up to like season 15, something like that, those were awesome. And then it sort of tailed off to me. But there's an episode where Homer is like, he's gotten sober and he's, been trying to, he didn't even drink during the NCAA tournament or something. Marge says to him, and she's like, everything. At the beginning of the episode, of that particular scene, it says it's March 31st. And today is March 31st. And he's wearing a Duke jersey with like an NC State flag. And it's weird. Now, maybe this is something this is some kind of joke on me and this is AI crap. But I'm telling you, The Simpsons predicted Trump to be the president. I mean, inadvertently, but they predicted it.
Those are all sorts of things. People should Google if they're interested. All of the things that Simpsons episodes foretold about the future. It's spooky.
It's bizarre.
That NC State Duke thing was just right on. Homer watching the NCAA tournament on March 31st with NC State Duke. This is from the Simpsons just years ago. And it's not like, Duke's in the tournament all the time, but it's not like NC State, who's an 11 seed in this tournament, by the way.
But it's March 31st.
Yeah, man, March 31st. Yeah, that's right. The tournament lasts 3 weeks. If you think about it, the tournament sort of lasts 3 weeks.
Okay. So we're going to talk about Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire Stick TV that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. I thought I could get through that, and I didn't. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have Fire TV. Trust me on this. I have it myself. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels lets you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on the latest in the world of sports. March Madness, NBA, MLB, and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, all that stuff. To learn more, visit Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That's Amazon.com, LockedOnFireTV. So we went through some of these observations, and as it stands right this minute, Duke and NC State just started. Tennessee is out. I hate to say I was pulling for Tennessee. I mean, I'm not a Tennessee hater like some people out there. I mean, like, I'll never pull for Auburn, but I can pull for Tennessee like in a bowl game or something. I can do that. I can pull for Tennessee in the NCAA tournament. And I am sort of an SEC guy for that, for the most part. I carry the water for the league. And I was sort of pulling for them. And I'll tell you, it's very difficult to make me feel sympathetic for Tennessee, though. And because they play so physical, they play so rough, they just beat you to death. They beat us to death. And Purdue made me feel sorry for him, because Zach Edey he's Godzilla in a china shop. And he just goes in there and he's huge. And so it makes it difficult to officiate him. I get it. But for the love of God, man, he doesn't go a whole game with only getting, what, he get one foul? Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous.
The NBA is going to be a rude awakening for Zach.
Oh yeah.
Based on how his college games were called, it's going to be a rude awakening. And I don't have a strong opinion about rooting for or against other SEC teams, believe it or not, but I did root for Tennessee, but only because I picked them. I had Tennessee in the Final Four, and I was a one win away from being right. So that's all I cared about. So I had Tennessee getting all the way to the Final Four, beating Purdue. I had Tennessee versus Purdue as an Elite Eight game with Tennessee winning. For that reason, I rooted for Tennessee. But the fact that, I don't really care that my bracket didn't work out. And Purdue is, hey, I'll tell you what, I'm welcome Purdue to the Final Four, because they have been a season-long story. Because while it is frustrating with Zach Edey and the officiating, he is a superstar of the college game. And I think the Final Four is better with Edey in it. Look,
let's also call a spade a spade. We at Locked On Bama and everybody probably watching this is going to be like, let's just Alabama get there no matter what. I'd be willing to bet no matter the outcome of Duke, North Carolina, most of the country is going to want to see Purdue and Yukon because you've got two gigantic human beings going head to head. And you got two kind of teams that are very eerily similar in a lot of ways. Let's hope that Alabama and or Duke, North Carolina State can put a crimp in that plan. Or I'll tell you the truth, I won't mind playing Purdue again. And in fact, if Alabama were to beat Yukon and were to beat Purdue, I mean, all of a sudden it goes from, boy, Alabama had an easy path to they beat 3 number 1 seeds. What else you want them to do, bruh?
Yeah, the path doesn't look easy because Yukon alone is in the way, and they're not just the number 1 overall seed. I mean, they're the defending national champs who are a better team this year. I mean, they're an improved national champion. For those listening who've just kind of watched Alabama all year and not really seen much of other college basketball, Yukon is every bit as good as you'll hear. Very well coached. I think Danny Hurley, he's not Coach K. He's not Roy Williams yet in terms of those sort of Hall of Fame type credentials. But I don't know that there is a better basketball coach, right now. I mean, sure, Nate Oates has an argument and other guys have arguments, but I'm just saying Danny Hurley is pretty much the top of the sport these days.
There's
I
no
think
doubt.
in terms of how good of a job he does coaching his team. UConn's super talented, but like I say, they got the big dude. They can run. They can beat you any number of ways, and it'll be one heck of a challenge for Alabama. But the thing you gotta love about Alabama is, hey, you got nothing to lose here. Just come out swinging. And Alabama's the style of play that can beat anybody.
Yeah, we're going to have to be hot again. But, out west, I mean, and here's another advantage. Now, we hadn't played in this arena, but we've played there.
Yeah, it's not the first trip to Phoenix. It's not the first trip to Phoenix. I do think I think you make one good point about this, though. I think shooting in a gym like that, when you're playing in a football dome, I think it's an adjustment. I would guess that's an adjustment. And someone's going to adjust to it really well. Maybe it's Alabama. So someone's got to adjust to that because it's not like playing in other places with that spaciousness.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. The Alabama team, by the way, just returned. It won't be live by the time you guys see this, but Ryan Fowler, who does a great show with Tide 100.9, he's got the live showing of the team arriving back at the airport, and just what a great feeling. I mean, a lot of people are commenting on it, and it's just awesome. So that's going to do it for today's podcast. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have some football talk, but man, this is all basketball.
Big football week for those who are like, where's the football talk? Practice Monday, practice Wednesday, practice Friday, scrimmage Saturday, interviews with offensive and defensive coaches and players after Wednesday practice, after Friday practice, and again, big scrimmage on Saturday. So this actually is a big football week coming up. We'll have it for you here on Locked On Bama.
I'm curious. So we had a scrimmage on Thursday, and we played North Carolina. Is this going to be the first time ever that maybe 2 basketball games overshadowed 2 scrimmage games?
I mean, that doesn't happen at Alabama very much, and it is going to be.
No, I mean, at Alabama.
Yeah, that's something. Collision of a lot of sports, obviously. Roll Tide.